Hello, everyone. My name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. Today, I'm going to be talking one of my new favorite mangas that I've been reading. I haven't had a chance to talk about it, but I've basically caught up at this point more than 110 chapters within a few months that I've been reading, and I'm going to be joined by my friend Matthias. He's been on the channel before, but he's the one who introduced me to this manga, and I'm very happy you did. So welcome back. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing yourself?
I'm doing great. Knocking out a lot of manga lately. One Piece is going crazy, of course. We've done some One Piece videos together, and Kagurabachi is something I feel like is better week by week, because that is something you told me about, and we'll stick with no spoilers for like the first few minutes, and then we'll go into full spoilers because there's a lot of things I want to talk about that are spoilers. I will say, so I want to get into that, but yeah, like this really feels like a mix of like John Wick with like shod blades. It's kind of how I've been describing it to people. How would you describe the series? Like it is such a unique like manga
What
series.
is Shark Blades? I'm not sure I know what that is. What
Oh,
is
from
that?
Stormlight Archive, shod blades.
Oh, okay, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah, I know totally. I think John Wick is the most close comparison. I think the style of John Wick, like the suits, the action. Um, I would even say, I think with John Wick, it's very much style over substance. But I
Mm-hmm.
think with Kagurabachi, there's also substance. It has more than that, but it's definitely that like a lot of stylish shots, yeah, swords, suits, and so much like you can clearly tell that the author he's a big fan of Western media because there's a lot of references
Oh yeah.
to. We were just talking without no spoilers, but like one of the latest chapters you read, I don't know if you noticed, but there's like a reference to Spider-Man in it
Mm-hmm.
with one of the hand signs and stuff. So there's like a lot of references. Did you notice um, the reference to No Country for Old Men in the latest arc you read when the guy is going
Yeah,
to
he's like
the
flipping the
like the
coin,
toilet?
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So stuff like very clearly like homages to stuff and inspired. Um, yeah, so that's how I would describe it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's also fun because this is a Japanese manga, so I would also say
Mm.
a lot of like Yakuza movies are being heavily drawn upon. I don't know if you've seen the movie. It's probably the most famous like cult uh, sort of Yakuza movie called Ichi the Killer by Takashi Miike. It's a
I've
very
actually never seen it,
bloody,
but
yeah.
when I was younger, I had a friend who was like, that was his favorite movie, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna watch it," and I never watched it,
Oh,
but I
I've seen
remember
it
it being
many
a cult
times. I
thing,
love it. Yeah.
and he was like, "This is an amazing movie," and it's like, yeah, but I never ended up watching it.
Yeah, I mean,
So
if you're a big fan of Kagurabachi, I think that's a great movie. It's equally
okay,
bloody.
okay.
It's very adult. It's also pretty magical at times. It's not like fantasy like Kagurabachi is, because Kagurabachi is definitely a
Mm.
lot more fantasy than Ichi the Killer. But like, there's a lot of like stylistic moments in that, just like Kagurabachi. And just yesterday, or a few days ago, they released a trailer that the anime adaptation is coming out soon, and I cannot wait for that. Like, I think because as I read this series, I'm like, man, I cannot wait for there to be like a like to watch it on anime and hear the voice acting and hear everything else. Like, it's such a great,
Totally agree.
yeah.
And he's so like the cinematography in Kagurabachi, like the way he frames panels are so good. They're very film-like in a way. Um, for example, there's one panel in one of the arcs where a character looks to like a on a door, like the little glass thing where you can see, and it's like a fisheye lens, and then
Oh
you
yeah.
see what she's seeing, and just the kind of creative things. Um, yeah, there's from one of the recent chapters we haven't read yet. There's a really creative use of like space as well, the paneling, and there's the panel where a character gets like cut in half, and the panel is cut in half in the climax of the latest arc you wrote, and
Yeah.
just these things that like stand out, and is yeah, and just the art is just better and better the more you read. One thing I want to ask, because when I started reading it, I thought it was cool. I read it. I got some commercial online somewhere, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I was like, okay, it's kind of interesting, but I wasn't hooked immediately. I was like, it's kind of like standard shown a little bit interesting, but I got hooked when they introduced Sojo as a villain, like the first major villain, and he like killed this guy in a car, and then he fought like this the squad that came afterward. That segment really hooked me. Well, did you get hooked at any point where you were like, okay, now I'm really locked in, or were you hooked from the start? How was it for you?
So I was only reading like one or two, maybe three chapters at a time when I first started the series because it's pretty new. So I was like, maybe I should just take my time with it, you know. But it was when Sojo was introduced, is when I started to read like a lot more chapters like at a time. So I was like, yeah, no, I need to like this. The way his villains are just so awesome, and they start with Sojo, the very first one, and he's so unpredictable as well when it comes to like story moments. Because there were like moments very early with Sojo where I thought that was coming like many chapters later, but then he was just dropping all this like really like stuff that I could foresee him doing in the arc, but like later in the arc, not like immediately. Like, so he was like killing people who we thought, or at least I thought, was going to stick around for a while. And then, like, with the second arc, with the auction arc, it was just such a fun thing seeing how fast the storyline was going. And there was many times where I felt like, as much as I love the action and all that, I wish he would slow down a bit and let us really like get to know these characters. Because I would say there's like three or four characters who I have a lot of investment in, of like Chihiro, Hakuri, uh, that one girl who has that like special ancestry. We haven't seen her in a while, at least where I am. But
Right, right, the one who can heal.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like
Chai or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. She
Chai.
was there early on, but she's kind of yeah.
Yeah, like I really liked her character, but like there's not many characters like compared to One Piece, where like I mean One Piece has more than 1,000 chapters, so he's spent that time getting us to every character on screen. We have a lot of investment for it, but this series is like I'm just focused on the main character. I feel like so, and I mean it's such a
Yeah,
great character too, along with his father. And there's a lot of questions with his father that I feel like we're gonna get answers to in this next arc that I'm getting into. So
hmm yeah. Maybe.
yeah, I hope.
As I wrote this to you, but currently where the manga is at, without spoiling anything, I think might be one of my favorite battles taking place at the moment. Like it's like a multi-chapter battle, and it's really good.
Oh
So
wow.
you're catching up. I think any time to catch up with Kagurabachi is an exciting time because there's always something exciting going on.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah, it's pretty cool.
every chapter feels like half of a movie. I feel like in
Hmm.
terms of narrative, like just chapter one alone, you get so much happening with like the introduction of his father and uh, the death of his father, because it is in chapter one, chapter two, maybe. Not a big spoiler, but it's kind of what sets off the
Oh,
entire events. Like,
it's in chapter one. It's like the very start, right? It's the basis for
yeah, it's
everything.
like page one. But
Yeah.
like, it's very early, but like, it's so interesting how everything is basically somehow related to his father. Like his father always has a part in everything going on in the world, it seems like, because he was the one who created these swords and basically set off this whole chain reaction through everybody. Like it's hard to like formulate because we all
Hmm.
so early in the series. Like I don't know where he's like I don't know what the end game is right now. Like even in One Piece, I don't really know what the end game is, but at least I can have an idea of One Pieces.
Right. Well, I mean, should we get into spoilers and talk about it, or?
Yeah, we're exactly 10 minutes, so that's a good round number. What do you want to talk about with spoilers? Because there's so many great parts of this series.
I think talking about characters,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was interesting what you said, that you feel like maybe you would want more depth or more time with some of the characters, right? And I can kind of see what you mean, but at the same time, I think the series knows what it wants, right? It wants to move fast, and it's very focused on a few characters. But like talking of the side characters, one side character I really like, which is like Soba, no, the guy who can teleport, Shiba.
Oh yeah, Shiva. Yeah, I like
Who's
him.
also he gets a lot of cool kind of like off-screen. There's also a lot of funny memes generally in the Kagurabachi fandom, but like he never has any like on-screen kind of fights that you see really. He just always does things off-screen, except when he teleports someone. But I think he's up there for me. Do you have like a favorite side character who's not one of the main?
I did really like I'm trying to think because there's so many like side characters that come in and out of the story, but I really like Hakuri. Would you consider him like a main guy or a side guy? Like,
The funny, I would kind of consider main, but then when you think about the last, no, I would say he's main. Like he's been a little bit more to the side compared to the second art where he was primary, but he's still a major part of the plot, right? Like his storeroom where he can store things like that. That's a very key part of the last two big plot lines, right?
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say he's a main character. Yeah.
Okay. Dang. Let me think. I did really like the buildup of Soga. Would you consider him a side guy? Because he was off screen for a lot of it, just kind of be talked about and.
The Swordmaster, Soga?
Yeah, Swordmaster. Yeah, the brother of
Yeah.
the uncle.
I mean, okay, it's just classifications, but
Yeah.
no, he's cool. He's very cool, and I like the build up that you just. When I saw that, I was also in my mind. I was imagining the anime kind of like cutting and eerie music, and just people watching going like, "Oh, that was strange. Why did we just watch this guy?" Because the first time I was like, "Who's this guy?" And then you just every so often you just like see him, and I also love how goofy the series. This just reminds me how goofy the series is sometimes, because at one point you just see him stretching. You just see him like stretching down on his, and he's just like, I guess it's time to get to it. And it's like he's been sitting in the same position for 17 years, and then he like gets up.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, okay. He's a good side character. Yeah.
What'd you think of the Kaminabi? Because I couldn't really get a grasp of how I felt about them. At times they were pretty cool, but sometimes I was really frustrated and that they seemed to be doing really nothing. And they were getting easily wiped out by like the villains. Like,
I feel kind of mixed, because when you first introduced, they're like, oh, it's cool. There's this. It's always a very tropey in a way. You have this council of strong people, captains. You think Bleach or other these series, right? So I think there's enough interesting people from that council of 8 or 10 people, however many they are. That's interesting, but I don't think it fully lived up to what I wanted it to be. For example, they established as like a traitor at some point, and that traitor turns out to be the main guy, who then also get like taken out in one punch by Asami. So he's like no threat at all. So I was a little bit like, I kind of wish there was a bit more to that. So it kind of feels a bit like, it's like you said, it doesn't really feel like they're that competent, or but then there's a lot of cool things with it that I do like a lot of the members. Also the guy who the guy who has this he has these meditation beats. He has some sort of power that he gets both his arms cut off by the Swordmaster towards the end. He seemed kind of cool. He wanted to kill he wanted to kill the main character early on when they first met the Kamonabi. But then he was very antagonistic. But he seemed kind of cool later on. He was just like locked in as soon as there was a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Also the guy or girl with the gas mask who died in the elevator. Also, so, but it was very uneven. It's like most of the characters we don't really know anything about in the Kamonabi, right? They presented all of them, but like a lot of them didn't seem to be present there when the raid happened, but then I think like a lot of they're also part of the Kamonabi, like the girl with the long sword and the guy with the two swords who was the brother of the previous sword bearer. Like I really like those two as like extension of like the Kamonabi personnel. That was also the last arc you read. What did you think about the raid on the Kamonabi and all the characters introduced and involved there?
I really enjoyed that section. It was because the thing I liked the most about the auction is when like everything just kind of all hell breaks loose. And when the raid was happening, it was a very similar thing because it was just like one threat after the other just kept showing up, and they were like, "Oh shit, they're invading us! Oh shit, oh shit!" And it was like one by one, all these more powerful people kept showing up, and like I knew Yeo was going to die eventually. I knew this was like his arc to deal with him, but I was not expecting Soga to just come and possess him and kill him himself. And like,
I don't think he's dead though. He might be dead, but I don't think he is.
yeah, I
Personally,
mean, it's
but
gonna be hard for
yeah.
him to have any agency with him with such a powerful guy within his body. I don't know.
Yeah, but it seems like what I assume happened. Like we don't know because uh, storyline hasn't continued. But I assume that they then freed the Swordmaster after everything went down, and then he got his body back, and then the Swordmaster just has his own regular body. But maybe not. I guess we'll see. Yeah. One thing I was reminded of, like because early on what we both said told us was like the elite squads that got wiped out by Sojo,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like two survivors, and one of them he returns in the I forget his name, but he has like the controlled sand, and he's gone like he's gotten like schizophrenic and talks to like his own sand power with his old friends, and it somehow makes him stronger because he's like so delusional. It was so tragic and goofy and crazy at the same time that I kind of loved it. He just really shut up for me as like as a character when he just like sent his sand thing through the floor and just pierced like one of the guys. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he was really cool.
what
I
do you think of
liked
that
his
guy?
back and
Yeah.
forth. Yeah. The back and forth between him and the voice was always really funny to me. And just the fact that
Mm.
he did get stronger, like, that's just such a unique way to, like, power up. Like,
Yeah, he lost both his legs, but now he's way stronger now because he's crazy. I think
yeah.
that's so weird. I love it.
Hmm. What did you think of, because we've gotten a lot of, like, sword drops and stuff like that. Do you have a favorite sword right now?
Yes, yes. It's Cloud Gouger.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I like in a way it's maybe one of the most straightforward of the swords, but I really like the design. I really like how it's like ice, electricity, and water, if I remember correctly,
Mm.
and how they all interconnect. So you can all combine them. So you could splash someone with water and then electrify it, or you can do the ice, and the ice can evaporate, and then you can control the water from the ice. Just how there's these like synergies built into it. I think that really appealed to me, just like and how you see Sojo use it and this kind of stuff. And I think anything that has a lightning power just appeals to me. I love like lightning powers in games or shows and stuff, and it just looks really cool the way he draws it. So for me, that's. But I mean, they're all really cool. Like, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I think the Enten's my favorite. And the way that it summons the fish. And he's able to use the fish to like see what is going on in the battle. And that's how he was able to fight the guy with all the paper sheets, which was basically the same mechanics that he was using to like kind of find where the source of the fish were, or the paper sheets or whatever. And he was like, "How did he find me?" And he was like, "Same thing you do." And he was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he got like murdered immediately. And I
It's a
just love the artwork and the art style he has for the fish. Like, I just can't wait to see. I mean, we kind of saw it in the teaser trailer that came out, but the fish, like, they seem like of a totally different style when they are on
Mm,
the page compared to what's everything else on the page. Like, it's really
yes.
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, the texture. But you mentioned that Hiriko, I think he called, is like the guy with the paper crane power.
Hmm.
And he gets like defeated by the main character like 3 times. What did you think of him?
I liked him. I mean, he was fun. I mean, he's not a favorite character of mine, but
Oh,
he was fun.
I I just feel at a certain point he just became a punching bag for both Samura and the main character. They just kept defeating him. But I
Yeah.
like him. I think it's interesting where it's gonna go. There's a really funny meme, when like because he's kind of like he attacks him. He just has the sorcery right before he gets the sword. He's just attacking him, and then he gets both his arms cut off, right? And there's that panel where he's standing over him. And before that, he was like texting on his phone. And
Hmm.
someone made a meme where it was like the phone, but then he's like, someone wrote the text like, "Not gonna lie, I fucked up. I'm typing this with my nose."
Yeah.
It's like because he lost both his arms.
Yeah.
um, yeah, there's so many funny memes. I love the community around Kagurabachi. It's so funny some of the
Hmm.
things people come up with. Um, yeah, I wish you read the latest one because there's some really funny stuff right now with what's going on. But
Ooh. Yeah, I'm 8 chapters
yeah.
away from the current chapter, so it'll take me like a day to catch up. So I'll be there
So
soon.
just on that note, what do you think is about to happen? Just if you because you don't know, you think it's a flashback, right? But what do you think is you're about to see or learn or
I mean, I
experience?
think we're going to get the real truth about behind the atrocity they call it. Everything with the malediction, because that's one of the coolest powers from a sword, is being able to sprout this like flower like system. That's also very dangerous and basically kill everyone in the area. And uh, we heard about how Soga purposely did it, enjoyed doing it. I think we're going to get a lot more context around everything, and maybe even see sort of the entire war, and kind of get all the context surrounding this culture that Soga genocided, and maybe they had a lot more going on that we don't know about, and we'll get maybe some chapters from their point of view, because we did have some sections that were from like Yoa and Sojo and other villains. So I think it'll be like a half and half, like chapter split maybe between like the characters we know in the flashbacks. Maybe it's all the father's POV, kind of like as like keeping it within the family, the POV narrators and all that.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
yeah,
we'll
you'll
get
see.
like I'd love to see like the powers of the people, which I know we'll see if we're gonna visit that continent. But because they like there's so many rumors around them, and we haven't seen them at all on screen yet in the series. So this flashback would be very important, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, you'll see. Um, and I think talking about like the week to week experience, I don't know, like I've tried to read other anime, or sorry, other manga, but they just kind of some of them just fall off for me. I don't keep hooked, and I'm not sure if I try to identify like why did this one stick to me. I haven't had a chapter yet where I wasn't satisfied what happened in the chapter, and then there was like a super good hook for what's about to happen next. I feel like he does that well in every chapter. And I think with One Piece as I compare it to, which I also love One Piece, but I think there's some chapters where you feel like okay, not that much happens. I think One Piece is generally really good with having hooks. Like it always ends on a point where you're like, oh, I want to see what comes next. But some chapters can be more uneven than others, right? Where some are more less interesting. And also, like, the action has generally slowed down in some ways in One Piece. He doesn't focus on it as much. Oda's painting has also gotten like more. He used more thick lines and stuff. It's not so thin lines anymore. Where in Kagurabachi, the art is a lot more clear, I think.
Yeah, the author's younger than me. Like, it's shocking. This is the first like piece of media I'm engaging with where the creator's younger than me. It's a really funny feeling.
Yeah, it's a little scary,
Yeah.
He's 24, 25 or something like this.
Yeah.
And apparently he learned to draw when he was like 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he only drew like 2 or 3 years before he started to do professionally. But you can also really tell the art is a lot different from the first chapters from how it is now. I still think it's good early on, but he really improves throughout it, like, a lot.
Wow. Yeah. Has there been any like interviews with him, like of how long this series would go? Because like he could.
I know there's been some. Like, I saw there was a shared interview with the author of My Hero Academia. They were both interviewed and they were kind of talking to each other. And I think some questions like that did get answered, but I don't think he's answered definitively. But I get the sense, because it just said like enter part 1. I get the sense he has it kind of planned out to some extent. If I were to guess, I think there's going to be 3 parts, because that seems, that's like a classic story structure. And we're getting part 2 now, and then there's going to be a part 3. Or maybe there'll only be 2 parts, and now we're halfway through now, and I could see it honestly, like I feel like once we met all the sword bearers and we've seen all of that, then there's maybe not that much left to do in the story, really. Like, where do you go from there? It's like, okay, you need to defeat the final villain, right, and take revenge and figure out all these things, but it's maybe hard to expand it in a way, because like part of the coolness of the story and keep reading is that like you discover the new swords and you discover the world and so on. But once all the sword are discovered, it's kind of like, where do you go from there? How can you make a further storyline after that? And I wouldn't want him to write 500-page manga where, we got most of the swords now, and then there's only 2 or 3 swords remaining, and you really can't spend too much more time holding those back before they're revealed, I think. Yeah. So I think either we only get 2 parts or we get 3 parts, and that's maybe 100 or 200 chapters more would be my, or maybe more, but that would be my guess right now, I think.
Yeah. And with how fast like the plotting is, like he doesn't need 1,000 chapters, like, because I'm sure he has other story ideas he wants to do that's separate from this series. I mean, he's fast paced. Like,
I wouldn't mind if it goes on for a long time if he makes it interesting, right? But we see. I think most manga realistically don't last much past the 300-ish, right? Even before that, I don't know how long My Hero Academia was, but that was like 400 or something, 500. Wow. But Jujutsu Kaisen was like 200 something. So the 1,000 manga, that is very exception, not the norm.
Yeah.
I know one thing is that like he's a huge fan of Naruto, the author.
Oh, okay.
He said that on many occasions. He actually wrote, he made a one-shot that was, when you look at it, we can really see the influence. It's like, it looks a lot like a Naruto character. Mm-hmm. And he also, the animation director for the anime is the one who did have you seen Naruto?
It's been a very long time. I never finished it.
Okay.
I did read weekly by week in high school for Naruto, but I never finished it.
There's a fight early on with Rock Lee versus Gaara, the guy with the sand powers.
The sand guy, yeah.
And that one is really, it's one of the best fights. And the guy who did the animation on that was one of the key people on it. He's the animation director for Kagurabachi, the anime. And the author, Hokasono, he said, like, with some words when they announced it, like he was really excited because of specifically that. So, yeah. But also, can you imagine, like, you're like in your mid-20s and someone is like adapting your works, and like there's hundreds of people involved, like artists, animating, also marketing, and this whole machinery behind your creative works must be kind of crazy.
Yeah, that has to be.
It really feels like.
Yeah.
it really feels like they're like Shonen Jump, and there's that whole industry they're trying to make it the next big thing, which I think it can be. But it feels like there's a lot of fate in it, which is good.
Yeah,
It
because like,
was it was actually. Oh, sorry. Yes.
oh no, go ahead. Yeah.
It was actually close to being cancelled early on.
Oh wow.
The series. It was like apparently before the part of the reason why Sojo got introduced and stuff. It seemed like was because it has kind of not the best ratings, and it was like on the block to be chopped. So people think then he was told, okay, you have to move the plot, you have to make something exciting happen, and then he introduced Sojo. And then it seemed like after that it was relatively safe. Things
Yeah.
started to pick up.
Yeah, because we both said that was the moment that we both got really invested, and so if that was,
Yes.
it would make sense if that was the time. But one thing I was wondering about when I was reading the series was the future kind of stuff. Like once all the swords people have been introduced and the flashbacks are explained, where do we go from there? And I was wondering if we would go international, kind of like John Wick, where you have like every country have their own sort of like sword system. I don't know how that would work, because that continent itself is the one that caused this, or had the materials needed for the swords. But I do wonder if there's different materials and different islands kind of sprouting up around the world, and other like, I don't know, like in Viking like times, was there like people with, you know, the ability to craft like crazy, you know, swords and stuff like that. Like that's what makes me think.
That,
Like,
that would be cool. I get the sense it's not that likely to happen because it feels
yeah.
very rooted in Japanese culture and it's very specific. So it would be cool to see that kind of expansion, and it would fit with the John Wick inspiration, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, like part of the lore is there is this the lore, the ore that Tenseki that they made into the swords, and that's very specific to that region of the world. So yeah, then you would kind of need to. The problem is you introduce the nuke swords, right? Everybody always says like it's sword nukes, and they're unique. So you can't suddenly start to go and say like, oh yeah, all the other countries also had something equivalent. That would be a bit weird if that's never
Yeah.
been mentioned before. So there is. That's also why I said before, like if it continues, I have a hard time seeing how you continue. I think you either need to get rid of all the swords, which is like one of the main drawbacks, or you need to build new swords or kind of move things forward. Because how do you top what's already come when you have like the peak already of like power in a way with these swords?
Maybe we'll get some time travel, and only
Yeah,
one
who knows?
sword gets traveled through the time. I don't know.
I will say one thing the show also does, which is very atypical for a shonen, is that the main character, his power level is like super high at the start.
Mm.
When you look at other like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, a lot of other popular shonen, even Dragon Ball, the characters usually, you know, like they're strong, but they're like down here and then they climb. Like, why do I keep forgetting his name? What is the main character's name? What is his name? The main character in Kagurabachi.
Oh, Chihiro.
Chihiro, yes. Like Chihiro, he improves, but like he's like in the top, at least the top 100 of the strongest people in the world, right? Probably top
Yeah.
10. Like who knows? But I think that's interesting, like because that's very atypical in a way. But it works really well. Like he's super strong from the get go, but he still has challenges.
I mean, that's my favorite thing, is not having to deal with a long training arc, because I'm so done with training arcs and just everything I read. Because I read a lot of books too, on top of watching anime and reading manga. And like the training, I don't know, I'm just so tired of training arcs. And like reading this series, I was just so happy that we just immediately started with him super powerful, and is a lot more lore driven and action driven than like other series. So then like just trying to find, like, because One Piece, one of the big things I don't pay attention to is power scaling, and it's trying to find who the most powerful, like I don't care about that stuff at all. Like I care a lot more about like emotional payoffs and story payoffs and like character writing and stuff like that. So training is just
Well,
a way to like delay like future events. I feel like so.
yeah, yeah. I think I generally agree. It's more exciting. If you are in a training art, the story is generally not moving forward, right?
Yeah,
It can be made exciting. Then you need like humor or other things, but if you want to making things go forward, I think One Piece has generally avoided training arcs. It's
yeah,
usually more Luffy gets a boost just from fighting,
yeah.
which generally works. All the characters get stronger just by fighting, which in a way, like that's a form of training. So yeah.
Cool.
So what has been your, maybe to kind of like round out the discussion and finish up, what has been your favorite moment, or maybe top three? It can be hard to narrow down if you had to think about it in the series so far.
Um, I think one of my favorite moments, and it's very early series, is what made me really invested in the series was when Sojo murdered the very first villain that we meet. I forget the name of him, but like he had a sister as well, and like Chihiro defeats him, and he's like, "Fine, I'm done with the crime life. I'm gonna live life better." And like he's like, "I'm gonna go talk to my sister and make everything better, and I'm gonna do my mother proud." And he gets in the car, is driving with his sister, and Shoujo just shows up and kills the both of them in the most bloody way possible. And like that's his introduction of Shoujo, was him killing the previous villain that Chihiro just barely defeated. Like that was one of the craziest moments. Like, and I loved it. Another moment would be when I guess the discovery of the storehouse in the auction, where everyone's like trying to find that door, and it's really just this giant seal like on the ground, and they're trying to find out like how to get to the storehouse. And I just loved kind of how they kept kind of going back and forth between reality and the storehouse and trying to get the items they needed, because the sword was being auctioned off, the most powerful one. And it was just really cool how they were like how it was, the fighting was done in and around the storehouse. Like it was just fun. And then my final favorite moment is Sojo possessing the body and going malediction in the middle of the fight. And we get that really scary panel with him saying the word malediction with the sword,
Right.
and it's great. I can't wait to see that in anime, but that'll be like 2030 by the time that happens. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably it will be a while. Yeah,
because it seems
cool.
like
I
because
think
season one is next year, April 2027. So
yeah,
that'll
and I
probably be the
think
first
they
arc.
most
So
it's yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna cover at least the first two arcs, like the Sojo and the Raikusuchi, and then they might do the sword bear assassination arc up until Samura's betrayal. That could be a good cliffhanger moment, but that's also a lot of ground to cover. And also, if they do around 50 to 60 chapters, then the next season can be up until the end of part one, right? It would make sense, I think, to split part one into two seasons. So,
yeah, that'd
so
be good.
then
Yeah,
I guess that's around 50, 60 chapters for each season. That could work well, I think.
that's
But
about two
yeah,
years for a season then. Because
but
I
then they
know
need to
like
have
One
enough
Piece is only
episodes.
doing 25 episodes a year now.
Yeah, but they also only do like one chapter per episode because they insist of having horrible pacing. Still, for some reason.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah. But I really, really, one of my favorite moments is when Samura heals his own eyes.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
With his
Yeah.
whole backstory with his daughter. And I think it's very emotional that he's like, okay, now he's willing to look at her. It's a really beautiful panel with like the light and everything, and very thematically really cool with everything that's going on there.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts emotionally was Samura and his daughter, Iori. That's not her real name, it's like a different name, but that was her cover name for the longest time because they both had a seal done to where they forgot each other in order to have the both of them kind of disconnected and keep the others safe so they weren't, killed or involved with the Kaminabi and all that. And I just really loved kind of like just seeing them meet again and kind of forgive each other. Like, it was nice. So.
Yeah. And it seems like she's been set up as the new wielder of the blade.
Mm-hmm.
I think she gets it in the end of part 1. And it's going to be interesting. There's this teaser that Samura might be revived. In the part 1, they say like, oh, maybe he could be brought back, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I wouldn't mind him coming back. I mean, I really like his character. He was fun. He has a lot of good sort of story hooks that we could continue to explore. I mean, he can develop his relationship with his daughter. That could be a new path forward for him. Maybe he teaches her how to use the sword and like teaches her how to be a responsible sword, wielder and all that, and how to, just do better, kind of a redemption arc for him since he was a traitor and all that. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel mixed on it because like he had such beautiful sacrifice when he died. So if you revive him, you kind of a little bit cheapen that in a slight way. But like you say, it can also, if they fight a lot for it, and it can maybe be earned. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm just excited to see what the anime will bring and see who the voice actors are, because there's a lot of great voice acting going on in anime, of course, right now. But Kagurabachi, I would love to see just what they do. What was that?
Apparently, the voice actor for the main character, Chihiro, is like a relative newcomer. He only had like one line in the teaser, but that sounded good to me. So yeah. It would be interesting who. It would be funny if the Shiba is modeled on Brad Pitt. The author has said that. I think somewhere. This is never going to happen, but it would be funny if Brad Pitt was the voice actor for the English stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, not likely to happen, but yeah, that would be fun.
Well, awesome. I think that's about all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming back and talking Kagurabachi. This is just such a fun series, and thank you for introducing it to me. I know you had to ask me a few times to start, but I'm happy insistence paid off, because this is I think it's one of the best mangas to follow week by week, and I'm close enough now that within a few days I'll catch up, and I'll have 2 manga to look forward to every week, and it'll make the weeks go faster, which I'm very excited for. So
I think that's one thing I really enjoy reading manga. It's just a weekly looking forward to like I actually really like that part of it. And I'm really happy that it worked for you and that you're enjoying it. That my recommendation paid off. And once you're caught up, I can finally share the memes with you, which is I'm also looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love memes, and I've been dying to see some, but this is the first series that I haven't had to worry that much about spoilers as I read it, because I don't know anybody who's reading it except you and like one other friend. Like everyone else just hasn't heard of
it.
And
and that's why it's also good to read now, because once the anime comes out and stuff, it's going to be way harder to not get spoiled and stuff, right? Because it's going to be on YouTube and all these things. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, nice talking to you, Christian. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you for joining with me, and thank you everyone for watching. If you're still watching, we'll have to do another video at some point whenever a good drop off happens in the story, or maybe the arc just ends very quickly. I have a feeling this arc is going to be at least 50 chapters, and we're not even in the 10th chapter yet, and I don't know what's happening, but I feel like the pacing is just crazy, but it was a multi-year conflict, so I'm hoping it's a long arc.